Hello guys, I hope you're doing well at home. Alright, so today we are moving on with our video sections. We are proceeding to video section for week 6 video class. By last week we looked at speech writing for our week 5 video. As the topic for week 5 speech writing, we discussed definition of speech, the features of speech writing, and we also have our assignment. So, like we said last week, speech writing is simply for the purpose of conveying a message to a particular audience. We use it to persuade the audience, to inform the audience about the intent of the art of the writer or the speaker. So there are three main features of speech writing. We have the title, the body of the speech, and the conclusion. There are other features attached to each of these main features too, as you have seen in the last lesson, in the last video. Alright, so in relation to the three main features, we're also talking about the aspect of giving the speech. Do not forget that it is important that you know that when you write your speech, you are going to present it to a particular audience. That is the purpose of speech writing. You want to deliver it to your audience. So you also take time to practice the delivery of whatever you've written down in your speech. So that take your time to read the notes that you already have online and also to listen to the video to get a good grasp of the topic. Today we are moving on to week 6 video and we are moving on to grammar, picking another topic in grammar aspect, which is affixes in English language. Affixes in English language. The topic is affixes in English language and the subtopic is prefixes and suffixes. We are going to be looking at affixes, which is the general topic, and under it we will look at prefixes and suffixes in English language. Let's look at our lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, students should be able to define affixes. We usually start with our definition and then we define affixes. Number 2, students should be able to define prefixes and suffixes. We also define prefixes and suffixes. 3, explain the classes of suffixes. We are going to look at some categories of suffixes in English language, so you should be able to explain these categories at the end of the lesson. We are also going to give examples of prefixes and suffixes in English language. Examples of prefixes and suffixes. Let's go into the lesson in detail. We start with our definition. What is an affix? An affix is a morpheme. Morpheme is simply one or two letters or syllables together. So an affix is a morpheme that is attached to a base or root word to form a new word. An affix is a morpheme that is attached to a base or root word to form a new word. It is attached to mark changes in meaning, part of speech, or grammatical relationships in words. What are we saying? Affixes are bits of letters added to the front and back of existing words in English language. So we have like two or three letters that we add either to the beginning of a particular word or to the end of a particular word. These letters, we call them affixes. We either add them to the beginning of that word or to the end of that word. We call them affixes. And why do we add them? We add them to make changes. We add them to make changes to existing words, and we add them to form new words in English language. So affixes is attached to the root word, that's the main word, to form a new word, to mark changes in meaning, to show a particular part of speech, or to show grammatical relationships in words. So affixes perform all of these functions. Now in English language, there are two main forms of affixes. We have our prefixes and the suffixes. Two main types of affixes, as the prefixes and the suffixes. Now, what are prefixes? You know, I said earlier that the affix can be added at the beginning of the word. It can also be added at the end of the word. So the particular affix that is added at the beginning of the word is what is known as prefix. Prefix is an affix that comes at the beginning of the word. It is an affix that comes at the beginning of the word. So it is a group of letters that we add to the beginning of a word. That is prefix. Prefix Prefixes precede the root word. It comes before. Precede means to come before something. So prefixes comes before the root word. It precedes the root word. Now in prefixes typically maintains the word class. Most times it does not change the word class, it modifies. Most times it does not change the word class, the part of speech that it modifies. If it is modifying a noun, it means a noun, a verb, adjective, the word class usually remains in prefixes. Alright, so let's look at examples of prefixes in English language. We have DE, letters like D, EX, IN, ANTI, PRE, PI, and so on. Now, when we add these letters to existing words, when we add it to root words, then we use it to make another word. For example, when we add DE means undo, to undo something. When we add it to a root word, rail, we have derail, derail. Another example, EX. X means none, out. Now, when we add EX to a root word precedent, we have X precedent, X precedent. IN means to negate, in. It means to negate. For example, incapable. Now, the root word here is capable. When we add IN to it, we have incapable, incapable. Anti, ANTI. Now, anti means to negate. Anti means to negate. Now, we can add anti to a root word social, antisocial, antisocial, and so on like that. So we have other examples of prefixes. We add it to root words, that's the base word, and we are able to get new words that gives us new meaning. All right. So we proceed to suffixes. Now we said earlier that the group of letters, that's the affix that we add to the beginning is prefixes. The group of letters that we add to the end is suffixes. All right, so what are suffixes? Series of letters added at the end of the word is called suffix. Series of letters added at the end of the word, of the root word, of the base word is called suffix. It follows the root word. Now, in the case of prefix, it comes before the root word, as it precedes the root word. While in the case of suffix, it follows the root word, so it comes after the root word. Now, in suffixes usually changes the word class of the word it modifies. Unlike the case of prefixes that the word class will remain, in suffixes suffixes usually change the word class of the word it modifies. Now let's look at examples. Ness, the suffix ness, Ness. When we add it to the word happy, it changes it to happiness. Able, able, the suffix able. When we add it to the word float, it changes it to floatable. Ment, the suffix ment, ment. When we add it to the root word develop, it changes it to development. When we look at the suffix age, age, when we add it to out, the root word out, we have outage. Also, ous is another suffix that when we add it to joy, we have joyous. Full, ful, is another suffix, and when we add it to the word o, We have hopeful, hopeful. There are several other examples in your notes, so you can go back to your notes to get more examples and more explanations. All right, so there are two categories of suffixes. Earlier I told you that we are going to be looking at the meaning of prefixes, the examples, meaning of suffixes, the examples, as well as the categories of suffixes. Now we have two main categories of suffixes in English language. We have inflectional suffixes and derivational suffixes. Inflectional suffixes and derivational suffixes. Number one, inflectional suffixes. Inflectional suffixes signals the grammatical functions. It shows the grammatical functions of nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and plurals. It shows noun plurals. It shows verb tenses. It changes the way you understand a word without changing its meaning. It changes the way you understand a word without changing its meaning. For example, cookie. Now, when we add the suffix s to cookie, it shows that we have more than one cookie, but the meaning of cookie still remains. That is inflectional suffix. Inflectional suffix will not change the meaning of the word, it will only change the way you understand the word. The addition of suffix s does not change the meaning of the word cookie. It only shows that there are more than one cookie. So inflectional suffix can also change the tense of a base word from present tense to past tense. For instance, work. You can have worked, worked by adding ed. So the meaning of that word, the meaning of the root word still remains in inflectional suffix. It only changes the way the speaker or the hearer understands the meaning of that word. The meaning remains, it only shows the way you understand the word. All right, so we move on now to derivational suffixes. Before that, let's look at the 8 inflectional suffixes that we have in English language. There are 8 inflectional suffixes in English language. Number 1, S. Now plural S. S. When we add S to the particular word, we are working on inflectional suffixes. For example, he has 3 desserts. The word desserts, we are adding s to show that it is more than one. Number 2, noun possessive s. That's the s that we introduce with the use of apostrophe to show possession. Noun possessive s. This is Betty's dessert. This is Betty's dessert, to show that the dessert belongs to Betty. We also have verb tense, verb present tense s. Henry usually eats dessert. That is the s that we add to the present tense of a verb to show that the verb is in the present tense. The verb here now is eat. When we add s to eat, it shows that the word eat is in the present form. Henry usually eats desserts. That's something that he does often on a continual note. Henry usually eats desserts. Verb past tense ed. He baked the bread yesterday. He baked the bread yesterday. Now we add ed to the word bake to show the tense of the verb baked, that it is in the past form. Verb participle en. He has always eaten dessert. We also add en to the verb eat to show that it is in the past participle. En here is also an inflectional suffix. We move on to verb present participle ing. Verb present participle ing is eating the bread now. He is eating the bread now. We add ing to the verb eat to show that it is in the continuous form. Ing to show that it is in the continuous form. Adjective comparative ER. Adjective comparative ER. His desert is larger than mine. His desert is larger than mine. ER is added to the word large to show that it is bigger, it is larger. So we have adjective comparative ER as another form of inflectional suffix. And the last one, that's number 8, adjective superlative EXT is also a form of inflectional suffix that we add to the adjective to show the size, the shape, or whatever we want to show at that particular time. So here we have a desert is the largest. A desert is the largest. So we add suffix ext to the adjective large to give us more information about what we are describing. So these are the 8 inflectional suffixes we have in English language. Take your time to learn them and be able to give examples of them on your own. Now we are moving on to the second category of suffixes, and that is the derivational suffix. We've talked about inflectional suffixes and its categories in English language. So now we are moving on to derivational suffix, the second category of suffixes in English language. Now, derivational suffixes are suffixes that derive new words belonging to other parts of speech. It derives new words belonging to other parts of speech. They change the meaning of a word, unlike the case of inflectional suffixes that do not change. The meaning of the word do not change in inflectional suffix. But in derivational suffix, we are deriving a new word. So the meaning of the word changes. Now, it can also change an adjective to a noun, to a verb, or change a noun to an adjective. It can change the meaning of the word. It can also change the word class. That is the part of speech of the particular word. So let's look at some examples. Noun forming suffixes. Noun forming suffixes. We have, when we add ness to these words, we have meekness, goodness. We also have ISM, that's another suffix. Pagan, we have paganism. American, we have Americanism. Meant, we have management. Content, contentment. Also, adjectives forming suffixes. We use these suffixes to form adjectives, to change the word class of that particular word to adjectives. We have less, LESS. When we add it to words like fear, we have fearless, friendless, emotionless, and so on. Now, fear, friend, emotion, they are nouns, and we change them to adjectives through the use of less. Through the use of the suffix less, we are able to change these nouns from their word class, that is their part of speech, to another part of speech, which is adjectives. We also have full, FUL. When we add it to words like fright, we have frightful. Beauty, we have beautiful. Hot, we have hotful. Peace, peaceful. Pride, prideful, and so on. When we also add the suffix able, ABLE, to words like habitable, unforgettable, enjoyable, the word class has also changed. All right. When we also have verb forming suffixes. When we add these suffixes to a particular word, we are able to form words with it. We come up with new words, and these words are verbs. All right, when we have suffixes like IFI or FI, we have verbs. We are able to form verbs, words that are in their verb form. We have intensify. That is when we add IFI to intense, we have intensify. When we add IFI to false, we have falsify, mystify, beautified, and so on. Also, the suffix ATE, when we add it, we also have words like accommodate, hyphenate, carbonate, ISE or IZE will give us words like patronize, and we add it to words like patron. We have patronize, plagiarize, unionize. We also have adverb forming suffixes. Adverb forming suffixes. When we add ly to words, we are able to form adverbs. The new word class will become adverbs. We have firstly, words like firstly. When we add ly to part, we have partly, which is an adverb. Annual. When we add ly to it, we have annually, which is also an adverb. Finally, sadly, and so on. Also, when we add word, suffixes like words, wards, when we add it to words like up, after, back, in, we are able to form new words that falls under the class of adverbs. Upwards, afterwards, backwards, inwards, and so on. All of these are adverbs. Now we also have wise, suffix wise, wise. When we add wise to words like clock, crab, like, we also form adverbs. That will give us clockwise, crabwise, likewise, and so on. Alright, so that is that about our prefixes and suffixes that comes under the umbrella of affixes in English language. Like I said earlier, affixes affixes are morphemes that we add to either the beginning of a word or the end of a word in English language. Now, we add these words perform several functions as we said in our introduction. Now, we have two main classes of affixes in English language. We have the prefix and we have the suffixes. And the prefix is when we have the prefix when we add a group of letters to the beginning of the root word, to the beginning of the main word in the center, to the beginning of the main word. Now, when we also have suffixes, when we add the group of letters to the end of the root word. So we either add our letters at the beginning or we add it at the end. If we add it at the beginning of that root word, we have prefixes. If we add it at the end of the root word, we have suffixes. Also, I mentioned again that there are different types of we have two main categories of suffixes. That's the inflectional suffixes and the derivational suffixes. The For inflectional suffixes, the meaning of the word do not change. But in derivational suffixes, we are deriving a new word, so it changes, the meaning of the word changes, the word class also changes. All right, so that is that about this topic. There are several examples in your notes. The lesson that has been uploaded online on the school website. Please write your notes, look at all the examples, study them on your own. Come up with your own examples. Come up with your own examples and attempt the exercise at the end of the lesson notes. Attempt the exercises, and you can also see more exercises in your English language textbook. There are more exercises on prefixes and suffixes for you to attend in your textbook. So please make yourself comfortable with this topic, familiarize yourself with it the more, and as you do more exercises. All right, so we will see sometime soon in our next class. Take care of yourself and continue to stay safe.